Don't have a tripod for your laser level? Make a shallow slit into the drywall and place the angle grinder disc into the slot. Then set your level on top. We need our pipes fully insulated, including the elbow pipe. We'll simply cut both ends of the insulation at a 45-degree angle using a utility knife. Here's an interesting way to solder the ends of wires. First, we'll take out the soldering tip and replace it with a bolt and a bracket. We can stabilize our soldering iron. Now we can melt the solder into the bracket and then dip our wires into the solder directly. We can twist wires together nice and evenly by attaching a wooden dowel into a socket bit and then stick the wire into the wooden dowel. Secure the wires with pliers and drill. Cleaning the grout between tiles can be tedious. Here's an easy way to speed up the process. Cut off the head of a brush and drill a screw into its center. Tighten the screw into the chuck, and now the drill can do the scrubbing for us. If your jigsaw blade is dull, we can give it another use. Grind off the teeth with an angle grinder and then sharpen the edge like a knife. Attach it to a jigsaw, and now it can be used to cut cleanly through thick foam boards. The staple gun is a great and useful tool to have on the job, but ours happened to run out of staples a bit earlier than expected. That's okay. We can use an office stapler instead. We can use a rubber mallet to help fully drive the staples into the wood. Here's one way you can sharpen your pencil a bit faster, just using the help of a drill. Here we're going to use a wood clamp to help us mark parallel lines to the edge of the board. Unscrew the top and use the hole to make your mark. Next up is a DIY torque washer. Make 2 parallel incisions about halfway through both sides of a wide washer. Use a plier to bend the tines 90 degrees and then weld a nut onto the top of the washer. We can install it by hammering it in on one side and then securing it fully by screwing it in with a bolt. This is especially useful for building furniture. This water handle is broken. We can make a new handle using a cord on each side of the cord. Put each loop through the opposite loop, one under and one over, like so. Place the loop over the water bottle and pull it snug. Now we have an easy way to carry our water bottles. Anyone who's worked with wood knows that sanding can take a long time. Today, we'll try to speed up the process by making a sanding drum. By hot gluing a bolt to the center of this wooden dowel. Then we'll make a deep incision through the center of the dowel, and next we'll slide sandpaper into the incision, wrap it around, and glue the sandpaper onto itself. Now we have a sanding drum for all of our projects. Next, we're going to be making a homemade coffee grinder. We'll need 3 snap-off blades, snapped off to the correct size, an extra long bolt, and 4 nuts. Tighten the nuts to the end of the bolt with the blades in between. Make sure it's securely fastened so the blades stay put. Drill a hole into the center of the lid. Twist a nut to the center of the bolt and drop the washer on top of it. Place the lid over the washer and then another washer on top of the lid. Secure the whole thing with the final nut. Tighten the lid to the jar to make sure that the bolts can twist freely without any wobble. All that's left is to fill the jar with coffee beans and attach the bolt to the chuck and drill. Now we can brew a fresh cup of coffee to get our day started. Lastly, we'll be doing a bit of arts and crafts by making a simple decoration. Start by wrapping this wire tightly around this PVC pipe, then pulling it apart for the right shape. We'll bend the top into a little hook. Next, we'll hot glue a steel ball into the middle of our spring and let it dry. We'll tie a piece of string to the top end of the ornament. We'll share all of this and more today on Workshop Insider. We'll cut out the damaged part of this vinyl floor and a new piece to match. Then glue the new piece down so that it's flush. We can use a broken screw as an anchor to another screw. Sometimes we need our bolts to be a bit more secure so no one can unscrew them. In this case, we'll use blind rivets. Now they're not so easy to remove. Our vinyl floor is a bit loose here. We can drill a hole in the vinyl floor and fill it with wood glue. Now we'll cover the hole by melting a crayon and then shaving it flat. To securely pack fragile items, we'll need to place our item between 2 layers of spray foam and plastic wrap like so. Our item is ready to ship. We can also repackage the item like so for multiple shipments. Leave a brush in the paint bucket and it'll start to sink. We can mark out a little notch and then remove it using a handsaw. Now the brush will hang on the rim of the paint bucket. Putting duct tape on wood before cutting will keep the wood from splintering. Use a utility knife to cut the duct tape in the shape that you need. Now we'll cut along the edge with a jigsaw. And our wood has not splintered. We can even use a plastic straw to anchor this screw. Drilling into drywall can create a lot of dust. We can use this plastic bottle as a shield to collect the dust. Now when we drill, any dust falls into the cap. How can we prevent this marker from constantly rolling? Simply add a zip tie to the end. Water that's left on the ends of these shovels will cause the metal to rust. We can prevent that by filling a bucket with sand and motor oil. Now if we set our shovels inside the sand after working, the oil will prevent them from rusting. Sometimes the clamping pressure and too much wood glue causes the boards to slide. We can use a bit of salt to keep the boards from sliding. We'll learn how to make our own dowels in this next project. Start by cutting out 2 quarter circles. One needs a hole about the size of the dowels, and the second needs a large hole. Attach the boards to a stud like so, with the router in between. Now we can pass the square dowel through and round it to size. The mortise and tenon joint is one of the strongest joints that we can make to secure these 2 pieces together. We'll start by making the mortise. We'll mark the exact center and then use our mortise router, making multiple passes to cut it out cleanly. Next, we'll make the tenon. We want to make sure that it fits snug, so we'll never cut past our marks. We can remove most of the wood using our table saw, cutting the sides and the bottom. It should come out like this. We'll remove the rest of the wood using a chisel and sandpaper. Now our pieces fit nicely together, snug, and everything lines up. Our last project for this video will be a handcrafted curtain holder, made out of this log and the extra piece of scrap wood. We'll start by drilling a hole into the center of the log and cutting out a large hole in the center using a hole saw drill bit. Then we'll cut off a round about 1 inch thick. We'll want to sand off the bark of our circle piece, and also sand off the edges of our straight piece. We'll end up with 2 pieces that look like this. We'll apply varnish to both pieces and let them dry. Pass the curtain through the circle piece and then lock it in place